Back again in the BCTV studios, it's a brand new episode of South Suburban Spotlight. I'm your host, Sam Ekstrom. Great show planned today. We've got Olympic weightlifting state champions, Scott Sawley, Emily Johnson, Noah Bachmeyer, all in studio. We've also got Julian Hutchinson and Matt Beisch of the Burnsville boys basketball team to talk about their great season. But first, we say farewell to a good friend, Tyler Krebs. The Burnsville football coach made a big career decision this week. Coach, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Before we get into everything, Coach, congratulations on the Olympic weightlifting. You're a part of that coaching staff, state champions for the fourth year in a row.
Yeah, I don't think I have as big a role as some other people do. I've always said since I got here 6 years ago, my job is to get kids in the room and in the program, and I think we got the best strength coaches in the country that are leading the kids. So, great group of kids, super hard workers. They definitely deserved it and earned it, and it was a lot of fun.
Well, we don't want to bury the lead too long. You have accepted the head coaching job at Lakeville South. You'll be replacing Larry Thompson, a guy who you played for. Why don't you walk us through what that process was like from the time Larry Thompson decided to step down? How did that go for you?
Well, obviously a very difficult decision. As you look at in your career, you think about all the things that need to go into a decision like that. And when I talked to our players on Tuesday morning, I said, you're going to have tough life decisions like this you need to make in your life, and you need to kind of weigh the pros and cons and everything that goes into it. For me, it's replacing my head coach, much like we did at Burnsville, keeping Dick Hansen in the program. I'd love to keep Coach Thompson and his staff in the program. The reason why I teach and coach is because of him and the experience I had as a high school player. It's a chance to move closer to my family, my parents, my brother, my wife's parents as well. So it really was a family decision, not so much football as everything else, and obviously very difficult to do. The hardest part is leaving the people here, but very excited about a new opportunity professionally and personally as well.
How did your players react when you broke the news to them?
Every kid's different. I think that's the hardest part, is you've got a lot of relationships over 6 years with kids. That's the hardest part for me, is you've got kids that are coming back that are going to be seniors and juniors, and for them it was unexpected. So that's very hard as a coach to have those conversations. I think they've been absolutely first class and respectful about it and understanding. Disappointed, I'm sure, but I think they also understand why the decision was made, and I hope they respect that.
What has the outpouring been like from former players, families? I imagine you've heard from a lot of people this week.
Yeah, I mean, it's been very rewarding. I think a lot of people in the Burnsville community thanking me and our family. It's been a family thing. My wife and my kids, and we've really invested ourselves in the community, and so it's been wonderful to hear from a lot of them. And then I've heard quite a bit from old teammates at Lakeville and old friends in Lakeville as well that are excited to have me go back there. So again, very bittersweet. It brings out a lot of emotions of leaving and all that, and excitement as well. So trying to balance all that. I'm in a tough situation now where I'm going to stay here until the end of the school year, which is great, but trying to start everything down there. And so I feel like I'm kind of living in two worlds right now, and that's how it's going to be until June, when it kind of officially changes over.
I imagine you've been talking with a lot of the coaches too, and trying to compile your coaching staff at Lakeville South. Are you able to bring any coaches with you from Burnsville?
Well, that's to be determined. I just met on Sunday night with the entire staff down there, and there's a lot of learning for me to do, who they are, what they bring, where their strengths are, where the gaps are that need to be kind of, changed or fixed. And so met with the whole staff, and I'll meet with everybody individually, for about a half hour, try to learn from them a little bit. And the hard part in high school football, it's different from college and the pros, is that most of the people on the staff in Burnsville are tied to Burnsville. Either they teach here, they live here, they're invested in this community, so it's not like PJ Fleck, bringing everybody and moving them from Western Michigan to Minnesota. Most of the staff will stay here, and I hope there are great candidates from the staff that are applying for the job here, and my hope is that one of them gets the job, and it's very seamless, and I've already shared a lot of my information with the existing coaches, so I'm hoping, again, I care about the kids, and I want their experience to be very much the same without me here.
The last 2 years at Burnsville, you've got 16 wins combined. Now you inherit a team that went 1-8 last year. So what are the steps toward rebuilding the Cougars at Lakeville South?
Yeah, I mean, it's very similar to when I came here in that, we're looking at the coaching staff, looking at the strength program, looking at the youth program. Those are kind of the three pillars I talked about 6 years ago, talking with boosters, I'm trying to make it down there every day and meet with kids and be in the weight room and talk about the importance there. And there'll be a plan, much like we created a plan, 6 years ago here. We'll create a plan there of the things that are kind of critical for doing it. I wouldn't have taken the job if I didn't think there was potential there. Last year they were 1-8. They were -15 in turnover ratio for the season, and you're not going to win a lot of games when you're like that. So that's I think an easier fix, and they have some talent and they have some things in place, and I'm hoping I can kind of come in and, much like here, kind of put my fingerprints in a lot of different areas and impact some things and make some small changes and hopefully get it going back in the right direction.
You're going to incorporate Larry Thompson into this new job, sort of how you incorporated the late Dick Hansen here at Burnsville. What is that going to look like?
Whatever he wants. So he was the first person I called on Thursday night when it went to the school board and became official. I called him. I said, he's the reason why I have the job. Again, the reason why I coach. I care about him greatly, and I said, whatever role you want to have in the program, you can have. So that was the initial conversation. He has a grandson that'll be a 9th grader next year, so he already kind of said he has an interest in potentially coaching 9th grade and being around his grandson, and if that's what he wants, then we'll do that. So again, I'm thrilled to be closer to him and Coach Zeman and Coach Comer and Coach Knutson and the coaches that I had. We lost Coach Johnson this last year, but those guys really impacted me, and so I really want to try to tie those coaches back into our program as much as I can.
Hang tight for 1 second, Tyler. We're going to take a short break and be back with Tyler Krebs for one more segment here on South Suburban Spotlight. Well, we couldn't let you go to Lakeville South without making sure you're educated on your Lakeville South trivia. 5 questions, that's all right? We'll see how you do. Question number 1, what year did Lakeville South open after the split?
It was somewhere around 2004. Am I close?
You are within a year. We'll give it to you, 2005. 2005, Lakeville South High School originated. Now, you got to know who the principal is. I mean, that's a big shot on campus. Who is the principal at Lakeville South?
His name is Dr. John Brown.
That is correct.
2 for 2.
2 for 2. Who was the leading rusher last year for the Cougars?
Logan Goodmanson.
Correct, over 500 yards on the ground, and I think he's returning.
He is a junior.
Give or take 100, what is the enrollment at Lakeville South?
It's somewhere around 1,800, 1,900, so I'm 1,800, 1,850, something like that.
You are just under the 100 threshold, 1,757. Okay, so you're 4 for 4. I think this might be the toughest one. Which Big Ten school inspired the Lakeville South fight song?
Is it Michigan?
It is not Michigan. It is a rival of Michigan, Ohio State.
Okay.
The Buckeyes.
Yep. I've heard it before. I didn't know where it came from. So.
Yeah, it's called Across the Field. That is the regal name of the.
And I've got some learning to do with the words too. I've looked at it, but I have not learned the words yet.
There's a lot of lyrics.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Welcome back, South Suburban Spotlight. Sam Ekstrom here alongside Burnsville football coach Tyler Krebs. One of your philosophies at Burnsville was bigger, faster, stronger. You really had guys hitting the weight room, trying to develop a new identity as a program. In retrospect, how do you think that went?
I think that was, the number one reason why we had success. Again, I think bringing Coach Solly and Coach Metters and that strength program completely changed the culture, expectations. That was the reason why we were successful. Our kids believed, that they were strong enough to compete, mentally tougher, all those components. And again, that's the number one goal at Lakeville South, is to have that same type of an impact.
When you see players like Chase Roulier or Kamal Martin go on to have college success, maybe pro success in Chase's case, how does that make you feel?
It's great. You want the kids in high school to have a great experience. You hope they keep playing in college if they want to. I think the thing I'm most proud of is these kids that have graduated from high school, and you hear back from them and they've got jobs and they're getting married and having families and things like that. To me, that's the most rewarding part of being a teacher and a coach, is following these kids after high school, and whether they play football or not, you hope you have made a meaningful impact on their life.
You put in a lot of work those first 3 or 4 years, took some lumps, and then the success really came these last couple of years. What do you think was the turning point?
It's. I wish I knew. We wish you could bottle it and know the answer. I read a book a long time ago called Good to Great by Jim Collins, and he talks about a flywheel effect where you've got this huge flywheel and you keep pushing and pushing and pushing, and eventually the flywheel starts going momentum on its own. And you don't know if it's the 500th push or the 10,000th push to do it. I don't think there's one magical thing. I think when you have a common vision and you work towards it and you keep grinding, eventually it starts rolling on its own. And I think if you look back on it in retrospect, probably the playoff win over ECU was a big moment for us. There's some moments like that. The first Olympic lifting state championship, I think, was a moment for us where you could start to kind of see that the kids were really kind of buying into it at a different level. And you don't know when those moments are. You just try to keep pushing along and get it going.
What are you going to miss most about the football here? I mean, the Friday nights were great and the facility. What stands out to you that's going to kind of linger in your mind?
It's the people. I mean, really that's the hardest part for me is the teachers, the kids, the coaches, the families. My family has been in the district. My daughter played on a wonderful 5th grade team and lots of friends there. So that part's the hardest part, is leaving the people.
Well, the next time I interview you, you'll probably be wearing a Cougars polo, and we'll probably be Lakeville South Burnsville game some Friday night in the future.
It'll be fun.
Looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Tyler Krebs of the Burnsville football team headed to Lakeville South. We wish him the absolute best in his future endeavors. Coming up next, Scott Solly, head coach of the Olympic weightlifting team, to talk about their recent title. Stay put. Welcome back to South Suburban Spotlight. We've got Scott Solly, the head coach of the Olympic weightlifting team here at Burnsville. Welcome to the show, Coach. Your first time on the program.
Yes, it is. Thank you very much for having me.
Congratulations on the championship. Does the feeling ever get old of winning?
No, that doesn't. You're always excited for the kids. It's their championship, and a lot of them have never done that, so that's very exciting.
4 in a row, that's practically a dynasty at this point.
That was good.
What do you think has gone into your success over the last 4 years?
A certain type of kid. I think the ones that are attracted to our program are intrinsically motivated. They're hard workers. They have good character, and they're disciplined, and they're very coachable. So they're willing to take their time, and they believe in what we're doing. And our emphasis is not the winning, to be quite honest. It's the process. So they've bought into that, and that has worked pretty well.
How hands-on do you get when you're training these kids? Are you pumping the iron right with them, or are you more of a technical, verbal instructor?
I'm pretty verbal, and we go a lot over technique. I used to do it all. I don't know how I did it, but I used to do all the demonstrating and all the teaching and coaching, and I can't do that anymore. So I have my kids, my best kids, come up and we use them as the models.
We just had one of your assistants, Tyler Krebs, in here to talk about his leaving to be the football coach at Lakeville South. What was your relationship like with him? Because I know you and he kind of got here at about the same time, and his vision was bigger, faster, stronger. I want to get these football kids in the weight room, and it seems like a lot of them have credited your program to their success.
Well, I wouldn't have come here without him. So I've been truly, truly blessed. I went to St. John's University. I was with John Gallardi. I got to know him, saw how he ran things. He was a superb coach, national champion coach. Mike Grant was going to school up there at the same time, and I saw what kind of a great coach he became at Eden Prairie. And then I was with Bubba Sullivan in Northfield, and we did the same thing. He and I had a great relationship. So we won 7 state championships there also. And we took 12 football teams to the state meet and 5 to the state championship. So that was a really good symbiotic relationship and a lot of synergy between he and I. And then when I came here, Krebs and I hit it off right away. We believe in the same thing. We had the same mission. And I needed him and he needed me. And it worked really well. He's very supportive. Every day when I first came here, he gave me a list of things that he would do, And I gave him a list of things that I would do. He did all of them. I did all of mine. And it worked out pretty well. Yeah, he's in the weight room every single day. So,
what is an ordinary transformation for a lifter who comes into your program? Let's say they haven't really done it before. From the time they enter to the time they exit, how much improvement do you often see?
the progress is basically in the hands of the young adult. Mm-hmm. So if they're a real hard worker, they're going to make a lot of progress. If they're flexible, they make a lot of progress. If they're quick learners, they make a lot of progress. So if they're coachable, they make a lot of progress. So we are really heavy based with technique and doing things properly, and at the same time, in another way, getting stronger. And then eventually we marry the two things together, and then that produces some pretty good results.
Is one of your challenges, is it to take kids who may not have the confidence in the weight room that they want to have, and you challenging them to do things that might make them uncomfortable or take them out of their comfort zone?
Well, that's an excellent question. I think the most important thing is you have to have the proper tools. So when somebody walks in our room, they see it's very organized. At each station or platform that we will have a 12-pound steel rod. We have a 15-pound aluminum bar available. We have a 25-pound bar. We have a 30-pound bar. We have a 15-kilo or 33-pound bar, and a 20-kilo or 44-pound bar. So the most important thing is to help them understand how to do the movement. And if their movement doesn't go real well, we break it down and do a preparatory movement for it. So the whole thing is to really have them have success every day. So if you're using a tool that's appropriate for where you're at, then you'll get that, you'll improve. And then we go to another tool, and then we go to another tool. And I think, you know, the hope that I've always had is that we have enough tools where people can always have a great day, you know, a successful day.
Well, congratulations on the championship. We're going to hear from a couple of your athletes here in a minute, but it's so great to hear from you and give this highly successful team the recognition they deserve.
Thank you very much.
That's Scott Solly of the Olympic weightlifting team. Noah Bachmeyer and Emily Johnson sit in the chair right after this. South Suburban Spotlight continues with Noah Bachmeyer and Emily Johnson, Olympic weightlifting team captains, champions once again. That's 4 titles for this group. When you win 4, does that just give you motivation to keep winning because you want to stay on top? You don't want to lose that status as champion?
Certainly. This is my 5th year I've been on the team, 4 years state champion. So there was a lot of pressure this year, but I've noticed that winning it's something you want to continue doing. So it's going to be hard next year not having the ability to do so, but my sister also lifts, so it's going to be nice to try and help encourage her to go for 2 more so she can get a full sweep just like I did.
Like Noah said, it's a lot of hard work and dedication, and it feels really good to pull it off in the end, knowing that you worked hard and gave it your all.
Now, I know both of you took 2nd place, which is fantastic individually, and I know you wanted to get 1st, but does it soften the blow a little bit knowing that the team won?
Always. Team first. That's one thing that Coach mentioned. If you're kind of struggling a bit, but you know that you can take 2nd or 3rd or block somebody else, the team always comes first in a situation like this. So even though I did take 2nd, it's kind of frustrating, but being able to take 1st as a team was very, very, very much important.
Emily, it's an individual sport, but you do it together as a team. How do you stay close-knit as a team? It's not like basketball where you're physically passing it to somebody and moving together.
Each day in practice we get to work with each other and practice with each other, and it just helps to be there and push each other and just help everyone stay focused and on task and keep everyone working hard, and so it all keeps us close and keeps each other accountable.
Noah, what responsibilities did you take on as captain from a leadership standpoint?
I think that we all kind of shared the responsibilities. There were 5 of us captains, so we would all kind of alternate. Emily did most of the attendance, so I have to thank her for that. And then I usually took warm-ups, and then all of us would help clean up after, and we'd make sure at meets especially that everybody's on task and focused and in one spot, not running around or making a mess of things.
What was your initial motivation to start lifting? You've said you've been in the program for 5 years now.
When Coach Solly first came to Burnsville, he had a summer strength program, and I started that in my 6th grade year, I believe, and then lifted 7th grade, and then in 8th grade, following our BIC football season, I went into the weight room with some friends, and I just did that a few days. And one of the previous graduates, Michael Schiller, talked to me about it, so I went to the meeting, and I just kind of fell in love, and it was something that I really enjoyed doing, and something that became a big part of my life, and something that I needed in my life. So I fell in love.
Emily, what's your background in lifting? At what point did you know that you wanted to do it?
So I did the summer program for a few years, and the coaches just kept bugging me to join. So I finally gave in, and I just loved it the first year. And so this was my 3rd year on the team, and it's been amazing ever since.
So you lift with your arms, but I have to imagine that there's a ton of lower body strengthening that goes into it before you can really be a successful lifter. How accurate would you say that is, Noah?
I would kind of have to argue and say that most of it is your legs.
Okay.
You take the pull with your arms, but then from there it's more of a shrug with your shoulders, so you're working a lot of your back. And then while you're in the squat, it's all legs, except for holding it above your head. And then for the jerk, that is quite a bit of upper body and arm strength, but you're also using quite a bit of power generated from your legs to force the weight above your head. So I'd say it's a bit more of your leg strength than arm strength, but you still do require quite a bit of arm strength to do it.
So Emily, most people go to the weight room to train for a sport they have coming up, but your sport is the weight room. So what do you do in the off season now that your season is done? How are you training for weightlifting?
We still go to the weight room about every day, the same as usual, and then there's off-season workouts that our coach provides, and so we use some of those to keep training and keep up our stamina.
So Noah, you started when you were in 7th grade?
8th grade.
8th grade. What were you lifting then? What are you lifting now?
My first year in 8th grade, I remember the opening meet I opened up at 26 kilos, so that puts me at about roughly 60 pounds. And this past year, my max overall with snatch is 86, so that probably puts me just under 200, more around 180-ish.
I believe my snatch when I first started was around 20 kilos, so about 44 pounds, I think. And then this year I ended up with about 54 kilos was my max.
It's impressive is what it is. That's great improvement from both of you. So weightlifting is a sport that typically you hear about during the Olympics. Are there weightlifters that you follow on the national circuit, or are there famous weightlifters that every weightlifter is supposed to know about?
I'm not really too sure. Certainly at the national level, there are a few names that stand out. There's one in my weight class, CJ Cummins, and he's a pretty big name across the board. He's looking to probably compete in the Olympics. That's pretty much the only big one that I know that's around our age. And then there are some older ones, certainly the ones who have competed in the Olympics. Then there are some pretty good ones at the national level who I personally don't follow it too much, but when it's on, I'll watch it.
Emily, if there is let's say a 7th grade girl who who's thinking about getting into weightlifting, what would you tell her?
I would say just try it out, and it's a really good confidence booster because it's scary to go out in front of a ton of people and lift weights over your head in a singlet, but it is really fun, and it's a really, really good program to be a part of.
That's Emily Johnson and Noah Bachmeyer of the Olympic weightlifting team. 2 of the Burnsville boys basketball players are on the set next on South Suburban Spotlight. Welcome back to South Suburban Spotlight right here in the BCTV studios. Sam Ekstrom back with you with our final guests of the program, Julian Hutchinson and Matt Beisch of the Burnsville basketball team. Fellas, good to have you on. Matt, the team started playing its best basketball at the end of the season to the point where you really didn't want it to end. I still wish you kept playing.
Yeah, I think everything kind of started to click at the end. We knew that going into the season that we were a talented team, and I think we just got everything to kind of click towards the end.
Julian, did you feel like it all came together that last month where you had that 4-game winning streak, you beat some really good teams, it all kind of peaked at the right time?
Yeah, we were working really hard in practice, so kind of showed in the game, and the team really came together. We had all good relationships with each other, and it just we all got it clicking at the end.
As a sophomore, you really emerged as a terrific point guard. From the beginning of the year to the end, it seemed like you were really, really confident shooting the ball handling, defensively. What went into your improvement?
My father and I, we did a lot of training over the summer so that I could build the confidence up, because the year before I didn't really have too much confidence, and that's part of the thing that helped me out in the game.
What's your mentality when you're driving to the rim against some of those big forwards in the South Suburban Conference? You were fearless in there.
I just try to focus more on finishing rather than who's in front of me. That's part of the thing that my dad and I trained on during the summer, was just make sure you finish. Don't worry about what's in front of you.
Was it bittersweet, Matt, when you played that final game and you realized that the high school career was over? Did it just fly by?
Yeah, it was pretty tough going through the Burnsville program my whole life, knowing that I won't put that Burnsville jersey on anymore. It was a pretty successful run, and I'm happy with what we accomplished.
So now that Julian's going to be a junior next year and he's going to take on a bigger leadership role in all likelihood, what's your message for him and the next generation of Burnsville basketball?
Just work hard and don't take it for granted. They know what they need to do to get it done, so I'm excited to watch this next group play.
What's your favorite NBA player to watch, Julian?
My favorite NBA player to watch right now would probably be Chris Paul, but before it would definitely be Kobe Bryant.
Why Chris Paul?
He's just a great all-around point guard, someone that I look up to a lot. It's kind of the game that I want to play, just take that leadership role like he does.
How about you, Matt?
I just have one all-time favorite, and that would be Allen Iverson, just because he's pretty much unguardable, and he was one of the best scorers in the NBA. He's just fun to watch.
Julian, who's the toughest player that you faced in your last 2 years in high school basketball?
The toughest player would definitely be Jack Sorensen. He's a great point guard. I mean, I tried my best against him, and no matter what I did, he was just always, he would get to the basket, and he was finding a way to score.
He can shoot the lights out, too.
Yes, he can.
Matt, who's got the best shoe game on the team? Who buys the sweetest shoes? Julian's nodding at you over here.
I'd probably say Julian. Julian's got some pretty good shoes.
Yeah, some good kicks. Yeah. Who's got the best vertical?
I'd probably say Meyer Jackson, but Julian's getting up there.
Yeah, it's the shoes, probably. All right, last question. What's going on this spring? What are you doing now that the season's done? What are you doing with your spare time, Julian?
I'll be doing spring basketball with Fury this off season.
Matt, you still going to find a way to shoot some hoops even though the high school career is done?
Yeah, I'll find my way into a gym somehow. I don't have any AAU this summer, but I'll still try to get in the gym and just play for fun.
Julian and Matt of the Burnsville boys basketball team, this has been South Suburban Spotlight. Thanks to all our guests. Thanks to you for tuning in, and we'll talk to you next time.